if there's another story? What if something went unbroken? All this life, all this loss, what if it was really one long story that just kept going and going until it healed itself? Wouldn't that be a story worth telling?
Hey guys, Ryan and Greg here, back for another breakdown. This is the season finale of True Detective Season 3.
Now, spoiler warning, of course, so go watch that episode first, then come on back here.
It's a season finale. You're gonna wanna watch it first. Come on. All right, Greg, we're here, finally here. Episode 8, the season finale is called Now Am Found. Now that's a reference to Amazing Grace. Now the specific lines in Amazing Grace: I once was lost, but now am found. 'Twas blind, but now I see. But obviously a reference to the themes that we've seen throughout this season. The time that's involved here, the memory loss, and what we see going on with Wayne, as well as kind of the loss of his family in certain times. He doesn't really remember them, and what kind of went on in his past.
And by the end of this episode, Wayne really just finds himself surrounded by his family all over again, and, well, a little bit of a nice ending, you could say. Yeah. One of the endings they had. I felt like there was 4 of them, but we're gonna go into that a little bit later.
So the episode starts off with a voiceover from Amelia. She's reading a poem. The poem is Calmly We Walk Through This April's Day by Delmore Schwartz.
What is the self amidst this blaze? What am I now that I was then, which I shall suffer and act again?
More of those themes of
loss and time.
Of time and how it kind of, it's uncontrollable, and it's always passing us by, and eventually, unfortunately, we're all gonna have an end and a finality to this life. So what did you think of how the episode started off?
Well, it told me right off the bat, I thought, okay, we're gonna go back and forth like a yo-yo throughout this entire episode.
Yeah.
And it didn't confuse me at all. I thought it was just gonna be like Westworld, the season finale there, where it's just way too much with Bernard going back and forth.
Yeah.
Amelia and Wayne's story really came together in this episode.
Totally.
So starting it off this way, maybe one of the last times they have seen each other before she starts to get sick or what happens there. We'll talk about that again later, between that and what happens with Pizzolatto and Amelia's. We didn't see her death or anything like that.
Right.
I loved it.
Yeah, it's fitting because you're right. It was less about the mystery of the kids in the case and more about a mystery of these two individuals and kind of how they came together and how each of them kind of changed each other's lives.
It's a love story.
Yeah.
Are we going for it? How do we with this big secret between us?
So this is a new timeline. We actually saw that an episode ago, but it's kind of like in between 1990 and 2015. Let's say early 2000s.
Yeah.
Wayne is working as security at the university.
So we can see his wife every day.
So you can see his wife. We're not sure if that's the same school, probably a different school than what Becca went to when he was dropping Becca off at school.
I'm assuming so.
She's trying to get away.
Yeah.
That
would be a little weird.
Detached
too
from
much.
it.
Yeah.
But he's a little overbearing if he was there every second. But yeah, he's security, and Amelia is a professor there, and you could see that it was good to see them on good terms still.
Now let's pick up from last week, and Hoyt and Wayne is in a bad situation right now, but we know he's gonna get out of it, unless the timeline's really screwing with us, which for a second I thought they might have for a moment. I thought they were gonna be screwing with us with the time. I'm glad they didn't do it. This was the moment where I thought, where are we going with this episode? This was the only part there are 2 parts. Where I talked about last week, I thought there was gonna be exposition for Hoyt's character, doling out all these lines about what's going on. Right off the bat, that does not happen. He quickly strikes that down immediately, telling Wayne, hey, I'm in the dark just like you. I just know enough about this entire case, and I only know enough about what happened to Harris.
Right, we assumed that Hoyt was this big bad that was kind of had this grand plan of doing this to Julie and Will and possibly other children, maybe connected to a larger conspiracy, right? But as it turns out, he was kind of pretty much in the dark. He has no idea what's going on. He's just a rich dude who likes to drink alcohol and likes to go hunting.
Family. That's what it's. We only had the one. Then Ellen got sick. Now our child's gone too.
the main thing that we learned about Edwin Hoyt is that, he lost pretty much everything.
Yeah,
he
he's
lost his
drinking.
family.
It looks like it's hit him hard right now.
Yeah, he has a lot of money. He has deep pockets. He has deep influence in the community. He is able to bring certain things to light to the police if he wants to, evidence that he has on Wayne and Roland, but he doesn't, he's not this big bad master person.
He doesn't have the answers, and
Yeah.
but there is another person who does have all those answers, which I hated. We'll get to it later, but the Watts thing really drove me almost off a cliff.
Now, Hoyt Foods, as we said in the past, is based loosely on Tyson Foods, which is like another Arkansas company that is obviously makes amazing chicken nuggets. But and Edwin Hoyt is kind of loosely based on Don Tyson, who was the president and CEO during the company's meteoric rise to multi-million dollar business to multi-billion dollar business, and had obviously deep influence in the community.
Yes, loosely.
Yes.
And what sources, Detective Hayes, could this headline be alluding to?
I didn't know.
We're looking at suing your little girlfriend.
Okay, let's go back to the 80s now for a second, and back again to Amelia's paper. She didn't write the book yet, but everyone's already pissed off, and they want it to die. They want him to give his own story here. Wayne, the PD's like, let's kill this now. And, Wayne, now we know, he says no to that.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised that he chose Amelia over what they wanted to do and kind of throw her under the bus. He took her back, and he was like, no, I'm not going to do that.
At first, he did not. It was a tough sell.
It was a tough sell.
This is more of the going back and forth. What do you want at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And he chose Amelia.
He was willing to lose this job and deal with whatever came next, and not throw her under the bus. Now he was that source that she was getting all the information from, and he was kind of not happy with how the investigation was going.
The Purcell case, and she was his one link.
Yeah.
Hold on to that. He could have dropped it there, and it could have died. And that's really the basis for their relationship in the first place, which they bring up later on in the episode.
Now, were you surprised that Roland kind of took the side of his higher ups and said, "Hey, he might be a little influenced. They're romantically linked." Were you surprised that Roland did that to his partner?
He tried to save his friend here. He tried to get him back into this, and Wayne would not stop this case.
Roland can play the game, but Wayne doesn't want to do that at all.
He's just out of the Vietnam War, and it's not the same for him.
Now, back in 2015, grumpier old and confused men, Wayne and Roland, are at the Hoyt residence. They're actually going to just break in and check it out.
It's like, okay, cool, that's fine. They break in there, but then everything's conveniently left open for them, and even the room's still there.
Surprised that everything is still intact.
25 years later.
It's overgrown, the garden and everything out there. But it's like no one would have came in there and kind of uncovered this stuff in 25 years.
No, yeah, that's the one thing I'm like, okay, come on.
Give me some serious Carcosa vibes from season 1.
Yes, it did.
Very eerie in there, but and it was part of a trust. The state was in a trust, but no one else had any. There's no one else around at all. So inside the pink room where Julie Purcell was held, we see, the castle drawn on the wall. We see Princess Mary. We see Sir Junius and Queen Isabel. It looked like she had a life here that was pretty good at some points, but also not her true family.
No, not at all.
What the hell were you doing?
Thought it was the right thing. I had a family.
So Roland's pretty pissed off at this point that 25 years have passed and you didn't tell me anything about this. But at the same time, he was right. He's like looking out for his family.
Wayne couldn't say anything.
Couldn't say a thing.
Yeah, his family's safety was in jeopardy if he said anything to anyone.
Yep. And this is around the time where Roland is a different man now after the death of Tom. So he probably would have took on this case and continued it until he found the killer. Now, after Wayne comes back from his visit with Hoyt, his little eye-to-eye they have with each other, he has a heartfelt moment with Amelia where they pretty much go over their relationship and the fact that they really got together only because of this case in the first place.
Yeah.
I'll take a hard truth over a nice lie any day.
At this point, you really feel the vibe of, okay, they're just going to keep doing this over and over, like a back and forth. What do you want, Wayne? Where do you want to go with this relationship? And then they don't end it here. This is just the bookend for the 90s cut of this. Oh, what are we going to do with our relationship? Let's stay together. And then they move on again.
Now, meanwhile, Roland has taken this all a little bit differently. That Tom Purcell's death took a real big toll out of him.
Yeah.
And he's just looking for a fight, literally, in the bar.
Yeah, he got it, and I'm shocked he survived after they show that last scene of all the dudes around him. Like, whoa, they're gonna tear him apart. And yet he's just on the ground at the very end of that shot. So you can get the payoff of the dog coming in.
One of the best moments of the season, right?
Really is.
When he falls in love with the dogs, and then you know, he's been a collector of strays, kind of, throughout the season. He's been helping out those that need his help, and he finds himself in a moment where he's all alone.
Yeah.
The dog, taking in the dogs is kind of what we see down the road, is an integral part of his life.
While we're on Roland right here, that scene was amazing. And at the same time, I don't know what Steven Dorff is doing next, but I can't wait to figure out what the hell it is. 'Cause I'm going to watch it.
He'll definitely have a later career resurgence after this. I mean, you and I we're making jokes that, like, he was fun in Blade 1 as the bad guy, but incredible job to go toe to toe with Ali.
Incredible chops.
And because he's one of the best actors in the game, and then for Steven Dorff to there's no drop off there. He's doing a really good job this entire season. Now, Ray Fisher, on the other hand,
oh god,
he still thinks he's in the Justice League. He literally is acting like a cyborg. I'm sorry, Ray.
I got a language in my head that I don't speak.
Of all the actors here, it's just filled with so many players from top to bottom, so it's rough. So with Henry, I didn't. You were telling me, like, for instance, week one, you're like, I don't like it. I don't like it. This acting's off.
It's so jarring when they're both in the same scene together, him and Ali.
I kept thinking, nah, it'll get better. And then the scene where Wayne and Henry, he's breaking down about his childhood and I'm sorry, and he's apologizing for the way he treated him.
Yeah.
And then Henry, the way his emotions, his tears, he does the thing like this. That's when I knew. I was like, oh, this is different.
Told you, Greg.
I can see Mahershala on set going, is this mother, looking at the director and then waiting, looking back, is this for real?
Now, after talking to Harris James's wife, they get a name, Junius Watts, which was Mr. June. And they track him down and go talk to him. Now, this is a moment where you didn't enjoy too much.
Because I thought they were going to give this exposition to Hoyt, and they cut it away, and I was like, okay, great. All right, this divert our expectations. Where are we going, guys? A new adventure. We got an hour and 20 minutes to go. And then Watts shows up just to be really, they're walking that line on Magical Negro with him. The only thing that didn't happen, he didn't die at the end. That's the only thing they didn't do at that point, but he still disappears. He gives you everything you want to know. All right, so here's what happened since episode 1, and we drugged her. I let her out, and so all the clues are right here. He's just telling them everything. He's doling out all this exposition, and then he just says, okay, bye.
Yeah. Kill me, punish me.
Punish me.
And they're like, no, you can do that yourself. You have to live with this.
I need y'all to punish me.
So here is specifically what happened to Julie and Will. Apparently at a Hoyt employee function, a picnic, Isabel, who had just lost her daughter and husband, spotted Julie out the window and was immediately intrigued by this young girl and reminded her of her own daughter.
Yes. And she wanted to hang out with her, spend time with her. And
already a little bit weird, I'm going to be honest.
Lucy, the great mom she is, decides
let a stranger just hang out with her daughter.
As long as there's money involved.
And that Will was there to kind of
look over her?
Look over, yeah.
That goes back around to the notes and put it in the wall.
Right.
Okay.
So have another one of your kids be in charge of making sure that your daughter is safe with a stranger.
Yeah.
And meet in the middle of the woods. And that's all cool.
All cool.
Yeah. This is really strange to me.
Now, at one point, I don't even know if this was going to be the day Isabel decided, I'm going to steal her and take out Will, but it just happened to go that way for her, and she pushes over Will. He falls on a rock like we thought, and dies, and just Watts has to take care of the body. But one thing out of that, the little hands, prayer pose, it was done by his sister.
We thought all these, nefarious reasons for what exactly happened to Will and the dolls and how he was laid to rest and all this stuff, but it turns out it was pretty innocent and it was pretty just like an accident happened and they covered it up.
Yeah.
Now, I this part, obviously, they're in the wrong and they murdered someone, even if it's an accident. You need to go to the cops and explain what happened.
And then Watts lets us know that Harris James was complicit in the entire thing.
Which we knew.
And it was really just him. Hoyt didn't know anything else, apparently, about this. He was see no evil, hear no evil at this point.
I kind of still find that hard to believe as well.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of stuff happening under the guy's nose who seems like he's, he kind of, he knows about the GPS beeper in Harris James's beeper. Like, he knows about all these things, but he doesn't know what's going on in the basement in the pink room with the bank vault lock on it. Like,
no, he had to have known about that, I think, at this point. But remember, Julie's gone.
And the fact that, like, this thing is such a big deal to Isabel, why wouldn't Edward Hoyt know about, her change in character when there's a child arrives that's not theirs into the house?
Hey, he's complicit as well. He knows what's going on. He just doesn't want to do anything about it because he's trying to take care of Isabel.
I'll let you find your own way back.
So Harris James did plant the evidence at Woodard's house like we suspected, and he also paid off Lucy. I wonder how much money exactly was paid off in order to get her to
Who knows?
to be quiet about this. But I mean, you just lost your son.
And you're still gonna go along with this,
and they're gonna
for a few bucks.
They're gonna quiet you for some cash. That seems completely unreasonable.
So when they were drugging Julie, they were using lithium. They were just dousing her day by day. Who knows how long?
Throughout her childhood, for years, she was being told all these stories, and she was literally drugged the entire time until Watts kind of had enough and wanted to free her from
her mind was in fantasy land at this point.
So he wanted to free her. I was surprised that Watts never went to the police, like you said earlier, at any point during this time. If you know that this is an unsafe environment for a child, and that Isabel is doing something horribly, how can you live with that and not do something?
He even went out to Amelia's book signing, remember? So he had the motivation. He had the motive to go do it. He wanted to do something about this. And you can nitpick everything here and say, oh, if he called, then they would just had him in a line with a bunch of other people who say the same thing, claiming they know where Julie is.
Like the snake farm.
At the same time, Watts has the ability to just call and come in there, but he feels like he's scared of Hoyt and the big business thing going on in the background, which everyone is terrified of.
Right.
But
so the least he could do is he could help her escape, which he does. He unlocks the bank vault thing and lets her out, and then gives her a map and tells her where to meet him. And he was genuinely going to help her, it seemed. But she never showed up.
And she ends up at a convent, and which we knew back a few episodes ago, where Amelia talks to a young woman, and that young woman happens to be the nun that's running the place later on. And that's where you get your first clue. You're like, okay, here we go here. Where are we going with this? And then they claim that Julie died of HIV at the time to close the case again.
Right.
At that point, your head, and I'm pretty sure everyone at home were going, oh, no.
There's no way that happened.
No.
Now, in his old age, Junius Watts finally wants to get punished for this. He wants them to kill him, and they're like, "No, we're not gonna do that for you. We're not gonna let you get the easy way out.
Let you sit in this.
We're gonna let you sit with this. You have your entire life, and you're gonna have to deal with it. And if you want to take your own life, well, you got enough guns here to do it."
I need y'all to punish me.
So Wayne and Roland go over to the cemetery to say their goodbyes to Mary July
Their
and
apologies.
basically apologize to for not being able to save her and finish off the case. But then they also come in touch with a landscaping crew.
Mike.
A father-daughter landscaping group.
His name's Mike, and then the little girl comes over. Oh, hello, Lucy.
Lucy. Okay, we've heard that name before. Mike obviously is the same Mike that we met earlier in the season. He's the little kid that was really close with Julie, and at one point, saw himself marrying Julie. He kind of fell in love with her, had a little crush on her.
He started crying. He said he always thought he'd marry Julie when he grew up.
So at that point, you could say that they could wrap this season up.
Yeah.
Right then and there. You got Mike, the kids in the car, they drive off, and you can just wrap it up there, and then the audience can go, okay, we know what's going on here. Instead, the showrunners get a little meta, and the scene right after that, they think, do you think this is the ending? Is this really what's going on?
We got an ending, I guess. But I don't, You feel like any kind of closure?
And from that point, you're hit with ending after ending after ending, like the Return of the King, basically.
What if I told you there was another story after the story? After the story.
Here we go again.
So Wayne tracks down Mike Ardoin's address and he heads over there, thinking he's going to find the entire
This is it.
reveal.
This is it. This is the ending. You think, okay, here we go. They're all going to be together, and he's going to explain everything. But then you realize, wait, what's going to happen here?
Right.
What's going to happen if he goes in that door, charges the door, and knocks on it and says, "You're actually blah blah." What's it going to do to her family and everything? So I actually enjoyed that ending, or this ending number 2.
Same.
We can call it
No,
here.
I agree with you too. So he kind of says that he doesn't remember what's going on, where he is. He's lost. He's playing that whole thing up. Now, some people believe that he truly is forgetful in that moment, and he's doesn't know where he is. He's lost. He calls up Henry and he needs help. Some people think that maybe he's kind of playing it off, and he does make the connection that, hey, this is Julie Purcell and her daughter in front of me.
I don't think he made the connection. I think it was way more bittersweet than people think.
I'm like 50-50 on the fence. I don't know for sure. The only problem, if he did make the connection and he has the address and he truly wants her to be in hiding, and the story kind of healed itself, right? And doesn't want to bring any of this stuff to surface because it would bring so much pain to the surface. Then why even give the note back to his son Henry?
So
why not just toss it in the trash can? Why
I think that's for
let
Eliza.
anyone else?
That's for Eliza. That's Henry gives that note to Eliza,
Which is
later
going to
on.
keep the case open, which is going
And
to
she's going to crack it open.
up.
Yeah.
So if Wayne truly wanted this story to end there and for Julie to kind of live on in this new life that she created, and a lot of stuff, horrible stuff happened along the way, but she's now safe and she has a family and they're enjoying life, it seems. I don't know why you would hand over that note and keep that possibility open.
So we get our most Wizard of Oz type happy ending. The whole gang's all together.
Yep.
And at this point, you're thinking, oh, Roland's showing up with the dogs and everything.
Yeah, we needed the dogs there, that's it. One thing to note, when they're on the porch right there, the grandkids are riding their bikes, an obvious callback to episode 1 when the Purcells are on their bikes as well.
Triggers Wayne, and he goes back into his mind one last time. You think there, are we going to get one last clue about is he going to find out right then and there it was Julie, the woman at the door? No, this is one more time with Amelia. This really bookends the entire show at this point.
Yeah.
It gives you one last scenario where at the beginning, Amelia's like, what do you want to do? Yes or no? Middle, what do you want to do? Yes or no? And then at the very end, same question. He doesn't know, but he knows he wants Amelia in his life.
What I want. I think I want to marry you.
Now let's talk about that last shot that we see. We see Wayne in the jungle. He's a natural tracker, as we know, in the Vietnam War. And then he kind of just
I love that shot.
disappears into the jungle itself. It's the last shot we see. How'd you interpret that?
Great way to end it, and it really just goes back to you can watch the season again, and really the main character here is Vietnam. It's the Vietnam War. From beginning to end, everything that's triggered Wayne, even the musical score they had in the background for certain scenes when he flips in and out of where he wants to go, where he doesn't want to be at a certain time. And you look back at the scene with Woodard back in, I think it was episode 2 or 3, in the interrogation scene where Woodard says this.
You ever been someplace you couldn't leave? And you couldn't stay? Both at the same time?
The Purcell case, Wayne's dementia, Amelia, his relationship with Amelia are all wrapped around the Vietnam War. It's filled from the brim with Vietnam references that from beginning to end. Even when Hoyt brings up the fact that I was in the 7th Infantry,
Right.
And it's stuck with him. He can't go away.
He knows that that Wayne has seen some things and that he's been in action. And it kind of also goes to that idea that a lot of Vietnam vets are also like dreamers. Like when you're in a situation as intense as war, you kind of have to bring your mind out to deal with those things in and out of different types of reality, right?
Yeah.
Better memories, better moments of your life in order to kind of get out of the horrors that you're seeing when you're in war.
Yeah, the second Wayne stepped back on American soil, he's been dealing with this idea of closure. He hasn't had it. He's been trying his hardest. The first case he gets, right when he comes back from Vietnam, when he's a detective, what? It's the Purcell case.
Right.
He never got that ending he wanted from that case at all. And so we go again to the 90s. He's continuing in that case. And then again in 2015, he won't let it die. He has to continue it.
And the bittersweet, I think it's kind of bittersweet ending because I think that, him kind of disappearing into the jungle, he's always going to be tracking. He's always going to be kind of in his own memories. And he is sick, He's always going to be searching for that conclusion.
He'll be coming back and forth to this. What's that?
He might not get there.
Time is a flat circle.
This is a world where nothing is solved. Well, someone once told me time is a flat circle. of everything we've ever done or will do, we're gonna do over and over and over again.
Now let's end this breakdown with some questions that you and I still have after seeing this season play out. Number one, what happened with Eliza in the documentary? Did they just cancel it?
I feel like, did they cut that out? Did they just cut that part out?
Is it on Netflix?
I feel like Henry. I feel like there should have been a call with just Henry on the line. He's got the note, and he's like, "Hey, Eliza, I got this check." But at the same time, he's trying to get back with his wife now, so I don't think he's going to be hitting up Eliza anytime soon.
Exactly. It would have been interesting to see her in this episode, just to see, the information that she might have in 2015. Because remember, it seemed like she had a ton of info, still to share.
Pizzolatto was using her as a character, as for us, the audience, and Reddit. That's where her character was the entire time, and he just pulled it away for the entire final episode.
Now, how about Amelia? At one point, I think you and I thought she was a suspect, and I think a lot of the internet did.
Yeah, I think it was the first episode, which made me go, "There's no way she's probably the killer." And I'm glad they didn't have that final pullback where he's like, "Oh boy," at the very end with the kids and the bikes. Yeah, but no, it's just on their love story.
And
that's it.
She's happened to be a great writer and really intrigued by what was going on and wanted to help out, and she just fell in love with Wayne.
That's it.
Now, what we didn't get is how Amelia passed away.
No.
But Nick Pizzolatto said on his Instagram that she passed away in her sleep peacefully in 2013.
Yeah.
And they didn't actually show that in the episode, but that it is filmed.
Yes, they cut it, and he wants to put it on a DVD or something down the line. He's going to have these deleted scenes come back.
It is good to know that these two, they were on a good note.
Yes.
When she passed away, that it wasn't...
I think that's what they had us do with the very first scene of this episode where they're together. They're like, okay, there's still hope. There's still good moments they had together, even even during the in-betweens of this case.
And finally, Roland, he had a really good character arc the entire season, but we didn't really find out what happened in some of his personal life with his partner that he had early on, and then how it turned into him being solo, kind of losing everything, and then just picking up a bunch of stray dogs.
Yeah, that's just his life. People thought, did he have a relationship with Tom? What was going on? Not true. The whole thing with, we thought his wife, she was never his wife. They never said that. So he wasn't lying to Wayne a few episodes back when he was asking, where's your wife? No, she wasn't his wife. Same. Overall, I still enjoyed his character arc.
Totally.
It was very, very well done. And that's because, again, Stephen Dorff, he did an amazing job.
You don't want to live with it? Fucking don't.
All right, let's wrap this up. Greg, are you excited for a season 4 of True Detective? I think I know the answer.
Yes. In fact, I'm going to go back and watch this season a lot more than I thought I was from the beginning, the first
Definitely
episode.
warrants a second viewing.
It warrants a few viewings, honestly. What it did in season 3 compared to season 1, it took just the feeling. Gave you the feeling of season 1 this time over. And at the same time, I thought they did a great job because of the acting, kept it together the entire time. You can nitpick anything you want here, especially the Watts scene at the very end, but I enjoyed almost every second of this season.
I agree with you. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was a major return to form after season 2, which I did not prefer to view on HBO. But
some crappy Vince Vaughn lines. That's about it. It's not that bad.
Season 3 very much felt like season 1. Amazing acting across the board. I'm excited for whatever comes next. It's probably going to be some time though.
Pizzolatto, he works a lot better when he has the time and space. And he also said that he may do a movie or something else, another show, which is totally fine. I love that. Give him a year and a half more, as much time as he needs to write the next season. And also, I don't expect there to be more than one more season if he does another season, because he already said prior that he wasn't a huge fan of coming back and trying to rewrite the will over and over and over. If they do a season 4, I'm guessing they're going to continue to link together the child ring any way they can. Whether or not they're going to try to solve it in this season, who knows? Maybe it's a Miami Vice kind of thing. I would love that. I would love if they just take it down to Miami. You see old Russ Cole on a boat somewhere in the 7th episode, and they're just asking him questions about the old cases. They could go that way. Whether or not they're going to do it in the next season, who knows? But again, I'm all for whatever they have. Miami Vice would be my favorite idea, but I think they're actually going to they're rebooting Miami Vice, so Nick Pizzolatto does a lot of research and work into his season, so he may not want anything that's too close to that show.
Totally. Guys, that'll do it for this breakdown. Thank you guys so much for watching all season long with us. Let us know what you thought of the season and how you thought the finale wrapped up. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, what other theories you might have, let us know what you guys thought. Thank you so much once again for watching along with us.
It was all in Russ Cole's head. the entire third season.
The entire season.
Yep.
Wow.
Bye, guys.